Okay, welcome to my persuasion speech. I want to say, first of all, that there is some words that I might get choked up on because they're medical words, and some of them are drug words, and that usually gets everybody hung up. But anyways, I want to start. Pets come into our lives to keep us company for whatever reason. However, the word pet seems to be a word that makes the meaning seem like a creature has no life of their own. They are like children since they know that the owner loves them or not. Animals cannot be fooled very much. Mammals live all over the world. Even strays make up most of the population. This is the point where spaying and neutering needs to come into play. I found that definitions are key when people do not know what you are talking about. That's true, some people do not know what you're talking about. Spaying is the abdominal surgery to remove the ovaries and uterus, which is called a hysteron. Well, I know the uterus is a hysterectomy, but the ovaries and uterus is called a oophorectomy, and the vet could also remove just the ovaries, which is the oophorectomy. These surgeries are mainly performed on dogs and cats, which are the most common household pets. These surgeries are a form of birth control for animals. Livestock barely get these options because you usually like to breed them for whatever purposes. These surgeries are, I backed up. Mares, which are female horses, have behavior changes just like any other animal would. Neutering is Latin for neither sex. This can also be called castration for males, which removes the testes. This is also commonly used in household pets for where there may also be attitude adjustments. Again, livestock also has neutering procedures as a form of birth control, but for livestock it's usually for commercial value. And the process for neutering is also called gilding, which is for horses. Like anything in the world, there are non-surgical alternatives. To start off, there are injectable procedures. For male dogs, there's something called Nutrasol. This is a zinc gluconate, which is neutralized by an arginium. Male dogs also have a shot that's called a cytotoxic. This medicine produces irreversible infertility by chemical disruption. That I think is what it's talking about is the cytotoxic, not the Nutrasol, which is probably similar, but made by different companies and different chemical chains of the testicle. This drug is now made in Mexico, which is called estrosol. Male rats have a drug called Agigen. This elixir has reversible germ cell loss from the Seminiferous epithelium by disrupting the cell adhesion between maturation. The seminiferous epithelium is located in the testes for meiosis. Males from sheep and pig breeds have wireless microvalves. Female mammals have vaccines made of antigens which are encapsulated in liposomes with the adjuvative. And besides pills, there are other forms of getting your pet fixed. Males could have a non-invasive vasectomy using an ultrasound machine, or basically any type of ultrasound. Obviously, females could take a pill daily, which is orally administered. The phosphodiesterase 3 inhibitor has to be taken before and during ovulation, which blocks the resumption in the ovulation of a non-fertilizable or immature oocyte without rupturing the follicle. There are 10 main reasons why pet owners should have their pets spayed or neutered. And these are just the top 10. These are the only 10 main ones I found. The first reason would have to be the female would live longer and healthier life. The options would help prevent uterine infections and breast cancer. Yes, animals do get breast cancer, like they do get FIV, which is similar to HIV, and leukemia, and a couple other diseases like staph infection. Okay, and then the breast cancer is fatal to about 50% of female dogs. I'm not sure about male dogs, but at least 50% of dogs and about 90% of cats. Spaying before the first heat would be equal for better protection. Second reason is that neutering provides major health benefits. The first health benefit is obviously preventing unwanted litters. Neutering a pet could also prevent testicular cancer, and the operation is done if they're before 6 months. The third rationalization is that spayed females won't go into heat. The cycles can vary, though. The cycle could consist of 4 to 5 days every 3 weeks during a breeding season, which, for example, my grandma's cat, called Mama Katie, her breeding season seems like all year long, because even though she is an outside cat, and I understand that, I take it she's out to the population, if you call it that. The cycles are similar to the cycles of a woman, and for example, that this has happened to me, where being I'm around animals more than I am humans, that I have linked up with the animals. Like if two women are living together in some apartment building, or just let's say an apartment, or renting a house together, and so their periods would link up if one's before and one's late, and it'll get to the point where each one would know when their cycle is. But it's hard for a man when they're pretty much at the same time. And female animals start by yelling or urinating more frequently because they're trying to get that smell out there that they're in heat for the males to come and go. They're saying, breed me, breed me. Sometimes the urination can happen all over the house if they're inside before you get them fixed. The fourth justification says that males won't roam from home, and it has been true for some males. Dogs usually roam away from home, but however, some cats scatter and come back. Males from any species would do just about anything to find a mate. This would include digging under the fence or escaping like Houdini from the residence. Once free, the animal would and could risk injury from traffic and fights from other dogs or other animals, basically. The next offense is that neutered males would behave better. They would be able to focus their attention on their human families. On the other hand, they may still mark their territory by spraying strong-smelling urine all over. That's just to mark their territory, saying, hey, this is mine, go away. It's usually not that bad. Many aggressions could be avoided early on by neutering and spaying a pet. The sixth logic is that spaying or neutering your pet will not make your pet fat. Please do not use that excuse. That's usually not the animal's fault. It's just once they're inside, they're not as active because they're not going around. Their cats sleep most of the time. I don't know about dogs. I'm not usually around dogs. And that's part where the lack of exercising and overfeeding can cause the extra pounds, like a human couch potato. Pets will remain fit and trim if the owner can provide the exercise and monitor their food intake, which is this monitoring of food intake is hard for multiple pets in the house. I know because I have, 4 upstairs and one that has to stay separated. That is 5. The 4 that's upstairs, they eat differently. You know, there's one that really likes food, and then the one black cat, he eats, but he eats gingerly, and then the tiger cat eats a lot, but not too much to make him fat. He's 10 years old, so he eats moderately, and he's watching his figure. But anyways, and then the older cat, being she's 15 years old, going to be 16 this August, so she's not eating that much, for which I have to put her down because she's getting old enough, but that's another story. And then it's just hard. I know it because I got a new batch of kittens and I know how it is. Next basis is that any of these preventions are highly cost effective because this is just basically compared to having and caring for litter and other necessities. These options also beat the cost of treatment when an unneutered Tom escapes and gets into fights with other strays from the neighborhood. The eighth rebuttal is that spaying or neutering your pet or pets, if you have multiple pets that is good for the community. Strays can propose problems. They prey on wildlife, cause vehicle accidents, damage local plants and animals. Sometimes it does, but from my experience with the cats that used to roam this neighborhood, there would be enough where their feces and waste would actually fertilize our lawn. And one year, with them fertilizing our lawn, and there's no snow until late December, that we mowed our lawn up to December 7th because of all the fertilization. Okay, and then, let's see. Besides the animals and plants, they frighten children. Some do if they get too wild and like the freedom. Spaying or neutering can pack a powerful punch in reducing the number of animals on the streets, which is true. Unless you put them out in the country, and then it'll be their haven, because there's all kinds of mice and rats and other things for them to eat. The next to last reason is that pets do not need to have litters for children to learn about the miracle of birth. Letting pets reduce offspring with the pets that you do not keep or do not want to keep isn't good for the psyche of the child, because children most often that they get attached to animals before they do humans. This is especially true when there are so many unwanted pets that end up in shelters. There are tons of books and videos accessible to teach your children about birth the responsible way. I preferably would like the children to learn about birth with the animals for whom they are so comfortable with already. The final reason is that spaying and neutering helps fight overpopulation in pets. This is the biggest reason out of them all. Every year, millions of cats and dogs of all ages and breeds are euthanized and suffer as strays. High numbers are the results of unplanned litters that could have been prevented. This should happen to the human population more. I think that spaying and neutering your pets is a swell idea, since I see animals roam my neighborhood almost every day. However, some of them do have a home to go back to. This is the point where they go to shelters for which they might die anyways, since they get too crowded. All my pets at my parents' house used to be strays at one time. The most recent cat is Buddy. We call him that since he is like a buddy, and we don't know his real name. He has to stay separated from the others since he has FIV, which is similar to HIV. However, he still is a big part of our lives. At Brian's house, there's Piper. She's an inside and outside cat. She comes back when she wants to, but she can be very disagreeable when there is a new batch of kittens or some other pet in the house. And that's very true. Shadow is the other female at Brian's place. She is on her third batch of kittens. I know that she was supposed to be fixed a long time ago. When you really don't have the money to fix her, it's kind of hard. But Stormy has slipped out of the house because of Piper, and Brian is beating himself up for it, and I got one to replace Fluffy since we have to kill her, or I should say kill, but the mutual meaning is there about it. So all this was wrapped up to make my point that animals should be spayed and neutered to many levels. This is the point where spaying and neutering has to come into play. Strays can easily make up most of the population. Mammals live all over the globe. Animals cannot be treated that often. Animals are like children since they know that the owner loves them or not. The word pet seems to be the word that makes the symbolism seem like a creature has no life of their own. Pets come into our lives to keep us company for someone has passed, someone moved away, or to be a guard for the family.